Hai, aku Chandra Intan dan selamat datang di versi terbaru dari Fempire Podcast, yaitu Building Your Empire.
Yeah, you can come and join us too.
You know that? Fun fact.
So I have no
So, we are here back on the part 2.
Part 1 was fun. Part 2 is going to get interesting, I think.
Yes. Thank you so much, by the way. Again, we have Maliekah Harjani here. She is an investor at AC Venture, and also she's on the list of Forbes 30 under 30. Woo!
Thank you, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Likewise.
To
Thanks for
Fluid, to
having me.
Ocean Cafe. By the way, this is not our usual place to take all this to shoot. But yeah, we're very happy that Terrace Cafe and also Ocean Cafe are sponsoring us for this. So yeah, we're very happy for this. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
here.
you again. Really, really happy to be here, for sure.
Okay, continuing our episode of investing in Indonesia's startup ecosystem, I would love to ask. So, we were talking before about gimana sih startups itu or investors, they are actually investing on the team. Not only in terms of like business, but also like mostly on the team, right? And you also mentioned before about expertise. It's important for founders or maybe the people on the team to be able to have the expertise on
for
the
sure.
business, right?
Yeah.
But what about the expertise in Indonesia? Like, do we have enough experts? Or is it actually like, we are lacking of experts? Because this is what I heard, right? In Indonesia, sometimes some industries we have less experts, so that we have to kind of import experts.
Got it.
Right? Like, how is it from your perspective?
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I mean, having seen the ecosystem grow over the last 3.5 years, I think our entrepreneurs and all the talents in the ecosystem are incredible. So I'm quite bullish about our talent ecosystem. I've seen it grow. So I definitely have high expectations. And I don't think that we need to bring a foreign expert all the time, because some of these business models actually require a local founder, because they're localized business models. Some of them are so like hyper local that you really need somebody to understand the nuances of building this particular model in Indonesia, right? Even if we look at different models in India and China and try and replicate that here, I think there's always room for localization, or rather a need for localization, because again, users behavior differently, talent may be onboarded differently, even the operational challenges may be different. So I definitely would recommend that if you have a startup in Indonesia, bring on a local co-founder, because I think they should be able to know even more about the nuances of building business in Indonesia.
I see. So yeah, we have to be more confident in our experts,
I think
right?
so. I'm so confident. I'm excited. So I definitely love working with local founders. Even as a venture investor, I think our portfolio companies have taught me so much. And the ones that have really elevated my knowledge about different sectors and different user behaviors, the way different businesses behave, is through the local founders as well, because they have a very deep and very, very in-depth understanding of what's happening on the ground. So yeah, for sure.
I see. So, okay, experts are not really a problem, right, for Indonesia. But like for some small businesses or like startups, right, do you have any type of key factor that they can do to be able to be dilirik gitu? If your company can, maybe your company can invest on the training, the ISO training. So it's like an international standard operation training. So everybody will know that what you have, like the product of your company, and also like the workflow of the company, like how the company is operating, is actually like already in that standard.
Got
yes.
it.
So like, do you have any other
That's quite
tips.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's more for internal operations, right? But what I would say is on a higher level, and not kind of talking specifically of the kind of things that you need to do for each division, but on a higher level, I think it's so important to make data-driven decisions and to use numbers and to use proper user feedback to ensure that whatever you're feeding back into the business is driven by data. And then when you do make management-wide decisions or strategy decisions, it's all based on actual user data. So I think being very data driven in the way you collect that data and feed it back into the organization is very important.
I see. So is there any like requirements that we should do to be able to be like data driven? Like for example, do we have to be very, very using like certain platform, for example? Is there like any type of requirements for that?
So I think there are some platforms that will help with this. Some tech companies also build it in-house. But one thing, and that those are things that you can pretty much find online or find through a network. But one thing I want to share here is what can actually help even push that forward is having that in your company's DNA. So culturally, right, in the way you build your organization, you're encouraging every division of your business to be data-driven. And that has to be a company-wide DNA. So I think that's something to push for internally as well.
I see. Is there any type of things or like main things that repeatedly happen yang sering banget terjadi gitu yang membuat kerjasama antara VC or investors and also the startup itu failing?
That's a really good question. I think we have been in situations where we have to pass on companies because it's not the right fit. I think a recurring theme has been the aspect of timing and market readiness. I actually wrote an article about this ages ago about how market timing is so important, especially in the context of Indonesia, because not all industries will be ripe for disruption. And that could be for a number of reasons, right? Is the user behavior in line with what you're trying to build, right? Is it something they truly need and want and will potentially pay for, right? Are the existing technologies providing you the right infrastructure? Like, for example, without logistics and without ease of transportation, e-commerce probably wouldn't do so well because you need to transport goods. So the enabling technologies or enabling infrastructure is important for several business models and sectors to thrive, right? So I think that's something we need to look at as well. And also we want to look at market demographics, right? Things like income level, what's the GDP, and also other things that we spoke about as well, in terms of, age groups and age demographics and gender demographics, because that all plays into, whether a market is truly ready for what you're trying to build. And I think, because we've seen a lot of businesses in the US and Europe, and we also take those as inspiration, sometimes, a business model or a tech company can build something too advanced for what the actual user wants, right? So again, coming back to truly understanding what your users want. Sometimes we think we need to complicate, right, the tech and make it more sophisticated, but also maybe there's value in simplifying it. But again, just back to your question, I think it's important to understand the timing of what you're trying to build and understand if the market is ready for what you're trying to build.
I see. Yeah, that's a big part right there in terms of
100%.
business, because like you can have the brightest idea in the world, but if the market is not ready, like what can we do about it? Tantangan apa aja sih yang VCs di Indonesia hadapin with the Indonesian startup ecosystem?
I think so far we've had a really good run. Like, not gonna lie, the last couple of years have been insane. We've got good coverage around the ecosystem. We've invested in some of the top companies pretty much in each sector. So we've done a really good job at covering all those sectors. I think what is difficult sometimes is continuing to source deals, because now again there's more capital in the market. So I think the market is getting more competitive. but other than that, I think also as an investment professional, I also think that supporting our entrepreneurs and making sure that, we're actually able to help them grow, help them, acquire new talent, help them fundraise. I think even though that is really a fun part of the job, it can be quite challenging. But yeah, I think so far, so good. We've definitely, been very active this year and last year as well. And I think very excited for the years to come. So yeah.
I see. She's very, very optimistic.
I'm very optimistic, but I promise it's not fake optimism. It's really it's all backed by data. Exactly. It's all data driven.
Yeah, like how many datas that she's been putting on this podcast.
Yeah,
I really love talking to her. Like, oh my God.
Likewise, for sure.
Okay, so do you have any sort of hope for Feces in Indonesia and also like the startup ecosystem in general in Indonesia?
I definitely want to see like more people come into the world of entrepreneurship here in Indonesia, whether they are coming after a couple of years in a job or perhaps even direct from university, because universities in Indonesia today are pushing some really incredible initiatives to push students to think about entrepreneurship as a viable career path, right? So I want to see more entrepreneurs come in. I think it's the right time because there's capital in the market. There's also recycling of talent. Big part of, again, like I mentioned, entrepreneurship is also to attract the right talent. And I think we're starting to see a recycling of talent where a lot of people have graduated from Goto, Bukalapak,
That's what you mean. I was about to ask, like, what does that mean? Like, what does recycling of talent means? Oh, so that's what you mean.
100%. And some of these guys are part of the early teams, right? So they help scale the business with the early co-founding team as well. So I think that's very interesting. And we saw a lot of that trend in the US as well, where you would join a massive tech company in the very early days and then leave to start your own company. Yeah. So yeah, definitely want to see more entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. I think, that along with the maturing of digital users in Indonesia, right? More users understanding how technology works, feeling comfortable interacting with technology, I think will definitely give birth to a lot of more exciting opportunities here in Indonesia. So I also, my hope is to see more entrepreneurs kind of ride the wave and be able to be a part of this ecosystem as well. And if you're not going to be an entrepreneur, at least you can be a talent within an organization or even consider venture capital as a career path, because it's also very exciting. So yeah.
I see. So I have a question. You, of course, like you hope that there are more entrepreneurs coming, right? And rising into the ecosystem. But like, I want to ask about the age. Because as you said that university grads, like they have the youth with them, right? They have the energy and everything with them. But what do you think about founders who are actually like above millennials? What do you think about that? Do you think they have the chance to actually do it? Or actually, it's going to be better if the youth and the older generation kind of like collaborate together? What do you think about it?
That's a good question. I think we do have some entrepreneurs in our portfolio that's sort of beyond the millennial years, also doing very well. I am a huge fan of being able to use your experience because there's a lot of value in life experience as well and being an entrepreneur. So I don't really have an affinity for a particular age to be an entrepreneur, but I do like the idea of amalgamating a young entrepreneur and a slightly older one as well, because I think the combination of that will be able to help them solve massive problems as well. But yeah, I think being an entrepreneur is less about how old you are, probably. More about how passionate you are, how much you have that itch to solve a big problem, and how open-minded you are to listening to feedback. I think those are some of the qualities that are very important in an entrepreneur.
Indeed, because we also want to have lots of perspectives, right? Like inclusivity doesn't really only talk about like, genders,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
But we're also talking about like the different age or generations. I think we can also be collaborative in that.
And also backgrounds, right? Like
Background.
it's so interesting because
Absolutely.
we've had founders who are farmers themselves. We've got founders who's worked in, large conglomerates or corporate, have corporate backgrounds. So I think also allowing for that diversity into our portfolio is very exciting and creates, just more breadth, more depth, and a lot of learning across portfolio companies also. So, yeah.
I want to give thanks to all investors and also VCs who are actually supporting all these business who has really great values, especially like in terms of inclusivity as well.
100%.
So yeah, thanks to you.
Well,
thanks
thank you.
Easy
Thanks,
Ventures.
thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
and thank you so much
you.
for being in this podcast, by
Of
the way.
course, happy to be here.
Do you have any closing statements that you would love to give to our fempresses out there?
I think, I was super duper excited to be able to come here and share a little bit more about venture capital, as well as, a little bit about the tech ecosystem. But I think a message that I want to send to all of you guys is to just, build on your passion, keep going, really focus on your craft, and just make sure that you're enjoying every moment, because I think you're meant to, right? You're meant to also enjoy the challenges. I think that's something we kind of lose sight of when we're working or when we're trying to build something. So just a reminder to everyone to, just enjoy your craft, just have fun building and have fun doing what you're doing. And everything else will come your way for sure.
That is really cool. And I think that's a really good point, especially that we are in this hustle culture in a way. Like,
100%.
don't forget to have fun.
My favorite quote is actually by Gary Vaynerchuk, who says, if you love the game more than the trophies, you already win from playing it. And I say this all the time. I say this in every video, every interview that I do, because I just, want to reiterate that it's so important to love what you do, because I truly believe money, opportunities, everything will just come your way. For sure.
You're here. Give a round of applause for our speaker today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maliekah. So, girls, thank you so much for watching and listening us from the start until the end. Don't forget that we still have some more fun session with Maliekah.
Should I be scared?
You don't have to be scared. You have to have fun.
Okay, I will have fun with it, but I'm still scared.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Fempresses, for your time. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to also, do you have any platform if anyone wants to reach you, like LinkedIn or like
I have
Instagram?
a LinkedIn. Are you gonna pop it down there? Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. My LinkedIn. You can always contact me there. You can contact me at Maliekah at acv.vc as well via email. Happy to chat to you guys.
Yeah, you heard it from her, so you know who to contact if you have a startup and you need investment.
Yep,
all right.
for sure.
Hopefully you girls enjoy this, and see you girls next time on another episode of Building Your Empire. Bye.
As an investor, it can be easy to think you know better than the founders. It can be easy to think you know everything because you see, myriad of deals across different sectors. But I think what I learned is